Okay, welcome to medication. We always talk about it. It's
very important.
Yeah, we're going to have 25% of your test, 25%, 25 potential questions will come from this area here. Variety of things, records. So pull up 59A. I'm going to zoom in here a little bit. Okay. Now, we're going to go down to the first section we're going to cover is we did medication storage and disposal. Okay?
So in order to accommodate the needs and preferences of residents and to encourage residents to remain as independent as possible, residents may keep their medications, both prescription and over-the-counter, in their possession both on or off the facility premises. Residents may also store their medication in their rooms or apartments if either their room is kept locked when residents are absent or the medication is stored in a secure place that is out of sight from other residents. So that's basically resident rights too. You know, they have the right to keep their medication.
As long as it's
the doctor,
as long as the doctor,
provider.
Yeah. And
the most important thing is keeping the medication locked. I don't know how many times I've walked by one of the rooms and looked in and saw Tylenol or something sitting on the dresser.
Yep,
or
we had that with our one
building
resident,
2,
our hoarder lady. She wanted to control her own medication. State comes in. The door was open. They just see her medication sitting on the table. She was upset because she didn't want to lose the right to maintain her own medication. But we got her health assessment updated, but the doctor just checked off needs assistance with self-administered medication. And
she didn't.
She didn't need it, and the resident was just distraught. And luckily, the inspector said, if you just get me a note from the doctor saying that they can self-medicate and keep their own. But this will be a test question. And it will be something that they are trained to look for.
Oh, well, pro tip, you should be trained to look for that every single day. Know who has those medications, and if they're locking, maybe provide them with a lockbox in the room or something.
Yep.
Because that's just a big citation right there. So both prescription and over-the-counter medications for residents must be centrally stored if the facility administers the medication.
The resident requests central storage. The facility must maintain a list of all medications being stored pursuant to the request, which is basically an updated MOR or MAR.
The medication is determined and documented by the healthcare provider to be hazardous if kept in the personal possession of the person for whom it's prescribed.
The resident fails to maintain the medication in a safe manner as prescribed in this paragraph. So the above story which we mentioned, she learned her lesson and she fixed it, but as the administrator, if that is a persistent problem, then number 4 would fall into place.
Well, you also have to train your staff to look for, like when they're cleaning up the rooms and going and look for loose pills on the floor and different things too. Because then they're either dropping them or they're not taking their medication. Sometimes they hide their medication. So always be aware that there could be a significant change at any time and the medication could be pulled immediately.
Yeah, and we always say like this will be a test question or you should know this. And we don't know the test questions. We say this all the time. They don't give us a list of the test questions. I've taken it. Cheryl's taken it. My mom's taken it. We had my manager, our maintenance person taking it. We've had thousands of people take it, and they give us some feedback on things. But the medication section, they will have a scenario in there like I just described. They'll say, the resident self-administers. You notice that the resident's pills are sitting out. What should you do? There's going to be a scenario that they throw at you. So the only way to be prepared for that scenario is to really understand the rule and how to properly answer the question. So the facility determines that because of physical arrangements and the conditions or habits of residents, the personal possession of medication by a resident poses a safety hazard to other residents, or the facility's rules and regulations require central storage of medication, and that policy has been provided to the resident before admission as required in 59A in the admission criteria.
Centrally stored medications must be kept in a locked cabinet, locked cart, or other locked storage reciprocal room or area at all times. This is a pretty common citation too. So if you look under some of the tags that facilities have, and it's that their cabinets aren't locked or in a secured, or they didn't return them to the storage room and secure them from residents. So that's a big no-no.
Or they have a medication cart, and the resident will
They can have access to it.
Or the med tech will take the medication and go bring the medication to another resident, but leave the cart unattended and unlocked. We see that a lot, and especially when the surveyor is going to be they will be watching that. But
right. So located in an area free of dampness, abnormal temperature, except that a medication requiring refrigeration must be kept refrigerated. Refrigerated medications must be secured by keeping it in a locked container within the refrigerator, and by keeping the refrigerator locked, or keeping the area in which the refrigerator is located locked. So we had lock boxes for that, and we actually kept them in our extra refrigerator out back instead of the main one.
Yeah, but it would still need to be
they've checked
locked,
for that.
secure. So the best thing to do is have a lock
box within
the refrigerator. But you can imagine the different scenarios that they could come up with for that. That a resident has a medication that requires to be refrigerated. Your facility stores the medication here. That type of scenario. Okay? I'm always surprised because people always tell me, you didn't prepare me for this or that. And I'm like, it's all
right
here. You have to know the material.
This is a lot of information.
It's a lot. And that's why we tell people all the time that this amount of material, and you probably realize that by now. You heard me on the phone tell you this. You cannot teach this much information in 4 days. I don't care. You can't. Okay. Off my soapbox.
Okay.
Accessible to staff. So the centrally stored medication must be accessible to staff responsible for filling pill organizers, assisting with self-administration of medication, or administering medication. Such staff must have ready access to keys or codes to the medication storage areas at all times.
Kept separately from the medications or other residents and properly closed and sealed. Yeah, that's something they'll look for when they do a survey too. So it's just really easy to keep everybody's meds in its bin. Every facility has their own system, but keep them in storage bins separate from each and label everything. And also do a nightly audit somebody to make sure the medications are going back in the right boxes and compartments too.
Yep.
That's easy to make a mistake on. It's happened with us.
And you don't want some staff to just take the medications and just pop them out and not matching up names. So it's a very important task, but it prevents harm. Medication that has been discontinued
but is not
expired must be returned to the resident or the resident's representative as appropriate, or may be centrally stored by the facility for future use by the resident at the resident's request. If centrally stored by the facility, the discontinued medication must be stored separately from medications in current use, and the area to which it is stored must be marked discontinued medication. Such medication may be reused if prescribed by the resident's healthcare provider.
I cannot tell you how many times we went into the discontinued med bins and used something because they started it up again. It's so convenient to have it on site and just label it and keep it over in a separate place. And especially with your Coumadins, Ativans, any of those, we found a lot. Lasix, those things, they change.
Stop and start.
Yeah, they stop and start, and it's just hassle free if you have them on site and don't have to scramble to get those medications in.
Or maybe centrally stored by the facility for future use by the resident at the resident's request. So I would, just a note, in your admissions package, I would have a little section about that, how you store discontinued medication so that they accept it on your admission, in your admissions package. When a resident's stay in the facility has ended, the administrator shall return all medications to the resident's family, or the resident's guardian, unless otherwise prohibited by law. If after notification and waiting...
Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah. You want to do that after I read this or before? Is that for the previous one?
15 days.
Okay, I have to finish the sentence before
I know.
That's the rule. Okay. If after notification and waiting at least 15 days, the resident's medication are still at the facility, the medications are considered abandoned and may dispose of in accordance with paragraph F.
15 days.
Disposal. Yeah. So if it's 15 days. Medications that have been abandoned or have expired must be disposed of within 30 days of being determined abandoned or expired, and the disposal must be documented in the resident's record. The medication may be taken to a pharmacist for disposal or may be destroyed by the administrator or designee with one witness. Test question for sure on disposal.
30 days. Yeah, of course. The 15 days, 30 days. Very straightforward, but you just have to know what falls under what timeline. Facilities that hold a special ALF permit issued by the Board of Pharmacy may return dispense medicinal drugs to the dispensing pharmacy.
Okay, that won't be a test question.
Probably not.
I think we're going to stop and we'll go into medication labeling and orders next.